ain't that legal out there?
I'm not in Chicago, Percy.
Nobody is. Don't worry about it. Change topic.
So what? Shut up.
That's funny.
Hold on. It's almost
Nah, Mo, I miss you, man. It's been a while since I seen you back up in Charlotte.
I think it is legal in Chicago, though. Back anyway.
It is. They got dispensaries everywhere.
3 states out there, yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
8 states that that's legal. But I know after this COVID thing pretty much mellows itself out. Nobody want to leave that money on the table.
Mm-mm.
This COVID thing pretty much.
I forgot how I muted on here. Oh, it's muted already. Why it look like it's freezing on YouTube today? It look like it's freezing on YouTube today.
Could be a connection or something like that.
Yeah, because mine is it's Florence.
Yours look good, George?
Yeah.
All right, I'm finna try to share it on Facebook. See if it lets me. Un momento, gentlemen.
Right now.
The problem is I don't remember my Facebook password.
Are you editing video or editing audio? Because you were asking that question last night.
First it'll be video, but I'll need to. What are my credentials? Hold on. But I'll need to do audio eventually because I'm going to do what do you call it? Podcast.
Oh, it's just got to simmer for 20 minutes.
Okay, that's perfect.
Oh, that's not my password. I'd have never guessed this password.
Oh, that password.
Well, did it generate a new password every time?
Nah, but you know, you don't have to. Once you log into Facebook, you in there. Okay. So I didn't remember what it was.
But you know, there's one like very good free audio program I use just to edit everything audio called Audacity, and it's free. That's and you could even use plugins and stuff like that if you really that advanced, reverb and stuff, if you really know what you're doing. But I think Microsoft has a pretty decent video editor.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. So we are live here. Thank you so much for joining in. It's your girl, your host with the most, your favorite chick to chit chat with, Ms. Mo, and I have on live with me tonight our brother George Mitchell, Percy Jackson, and Keith is running behind. Hopefully he'll chime in and join us soon. But we're gonna go ahead and dive right in because Percy is giving us the holler. He got other plans, and so he got to dip out on us. Anyway, tonight we are talking about the Black woman. And since we don't have a lot of time with all of our guests, we're going to go ahead and dive right on in. I hope you guys are able to hear us well. If not, go ahead and put a comment in and I'll be sure to pull that up so that I can see and stay on task. Be sure to engage with us. We want to hear your comments. And if you have questions, at a certain point, I will be pulling those up so that we can discuss them with our panel. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on tonight. It's great to have you here. And like I said, we're going to get right to it. So, the Black woman, who is she to you? Either one of you can start that off.
Yeah, George.
I can start it off. I mean, I have no problem. I will tell you at least, if you will, some attributes that I really appreciate in our Black women. Some of them being strong, being educated, being very loyal. Those are things that when I think about a Black woman, that's what I think about. I think about a woman that is knows what she wants, As when I told my wife when I first met her, probably don't take no mess.
Now, is that a woman thing or just a Black woman thing?
I want to say that's a Black woman thing, because if we go to the counterparts, that might not be the same sentiment. So, yeah. Percy, go ahead, chime in.
I completely agree with that, man. I was raised by a single Black woman, who did all she could to keep me alive and out of jail. And three words that he said that I really want to borrow is ambitious, loyal, and ambitious and loyal, and whatever else Joy said, just to add to that. Like right now, I think Black women have really been probably pissed off the most with looking at today's current events, with Ahmaud Arbery, or what's the other gentleman who got killed out in
George Floyd.
Floyd.
Floyd, and all these folks. And they seem to be more incensed than anybody else, to the point that they're politically active, So, I mean, like, if anybody's going to keep us from killing ourselves, it will be the Black woman.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
White women learn from
I honestly, you said that, and I have noticed, if you, since all this has happened, there have been more Black women speaking out and speaking up for the Black men. And so I think you are totally right when you say that, they are more incensed about a lot of things that's happening in this world, a lot of things that's going on toward the Black man. So yeah, absolutely, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and then like another thing is like even white women learning from this. I mean, like, and not to turn this into political conversation, but white women are the reason why Trump is in office. And and they voted for this guy for some of the craziest reasons. But the Black woman's balanced, because like, hey, wait a minute, my boyfriend, husband, brother, son, it happens to be Black. F is wrong with y'all. And so, but they're like, oh, well, he's a billionaire. And, no, hold on, mama. No, this is so, for the longest, Black women been trying to tell white women, yo, chill, y'all bugging. And that's no diss to the white woman, but, that's only because they've always been, I guess, married to the alpha predator. So none of the stuff that we dealing with that affects our lives, they had to deal with. So I guess the man is protecting them, saying, oh, Trump is cool. So they just going to repeat it. But then the Black woman is like, nah, yo, hold on, I got a son, chill. No, you can't keep on, Ahmaud Arbery, Floyd and the gentleman who got killed out in Detroit. You can't keep on doing this. Is Black, to the point that they are getting politically active. They doing what they got. Like I'm in Atlanta. We have a female mayor who's quite popular, something Lance Bottoms. And, she's doing her thing, and she's going toe to toe with our government. She's standing her ground and making the president's know. So, I mean, Black women are very motivated. They're very ambitious, and they usually always get the job done. I've seen that throughout my whole professional career. Black women start in clerical departments and make their way up to C-level directors and stuff like that. It's just in them.
And so 2 quick questions based on what you guys just said. One, because you mentioned how you see Black women on the forefront fighting for you all, for the Black man, and not just because it's her son, but it's her son, her brother, her uncle, her father, her cousin, her man, it's all of that that's affected by that. So she fights. But do you see the Black man fighting as much for her as you do her for him?
George, you take
that. You know what? Honestly, I will say yes. And I will say this. Some people might get bad at it or whatever, but the real Black men are fighting for them. The ones that know the worth, if you will, of the Black woman. They are fighting for them, and they are trying to uphold them. They're trying to be the kings that they want in their lives. So absolutely, they're fighting for them. Yes.
So let me ask this too. So in the same vein, it's kind of So even in the struggle, because you all as Black men face a lot, you know, and even though we try to uphold, to uplift, to encourage, to pray, to cover, to assist in all of those different things, sometimes there's still more that you're dealing with and carrying on your own that we just can't. It's nothing we can take from you. It's literally something you have to carry yourself, and battle through it. Do you find it challenging to find the balance in having to fight your day-to-day wars and battles and still cover, uphold, and maintain her as well?
You know, we're at a funny crossroads right now. It's because like it's almost being pulled out of the matrix, so to speak, because of like all of the video we got, you know, on your phone, what have you. It's all types of stuff that so you're getting all types of hits from social media and all the injustices, violence and stuff like that happens to us. Now, growing up as a dude, you know, it's funny, my social studies teacher told me a long time ago, men want three things in the context of politics: gold, glory, guns, and girls. And that's pretty much, speaking as a male, is what our priority was, my priority was. And so, woman, you know, like, you know, you want to be cute, and then you want to think about probably got estrogen in your ears, something like that, the family, you know. So it's like you're thinking more along the lines of perpetuation of the species. So it's a whole lot of stuff that men aren't focused on, probably shouldn't be focused on until we get a little older. But women are pretty much locked on, like, hey, I want a husband, I want a house, I want a car, I want, you know, a family and stuff like that. So, you know, that's probably my opinion why they say that women mature before men do. So I think now, because it's all in our face, and like what George is saying, it's like, you know, the cats who have their heads on right are going to fight just as hard for this. But I think we're the crossroads where we got to stop and talk and understand each other, you know, because it's a lot that we're missing out. Like, you know, it's a lot of groups I belong to, and it seems like it's more people arguing with each other more so than like, okay, hey, Black woman, I understand your journey. Well, how come women got to, you know, that's not getting us to where we need to be at these really strange times, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, another thing you know, kind of go back to the beginning of that question is, you know, through the things that we deal with on a daily basis, do we find it, where is the balance, you know?
Right.
And I will tell you, on a day-to-day basis, dealing with the things that you deal with at work, coming home and, you know, I can, you know, again, speak for my household, you know, it's a joy for me to come home, because after being out there dealing with all of the craziness of work, or dealing with some of the craziness that's out there in the streets as far as, you know, day-to-day stuff, I'm happy to come home and bam, you know, there's, you know, my queen sitting there, I can, you know, relax and laugh with and hang out with. So, you know, I think the balance can be struck and can be achieved. But it depends on, you know, how you set that up.
Shout out to Mrs. Mitchell for keeping the home at peace.
That's important though. It's really important, because it's like, you know, that's, you know, pretty much the foundation of, I guess, your love for each other, intimacy and all this stuff. Is just that sanctuary where you can just say, hey, when I lock this door behind me, you know, it's going to be different. You know, I don't expect that other BS. I don't expect, you know, cops to run up on me or my boss yelling at me, you know, screaming at me in the back of my head. You know, it's the goals that you aspire towards, you know, in a healthy relationship, in my opinion, you know.
Now, one of the things you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Black woman, you mentioned our ambition. Have you guys ever, maybe not now or maybe now, ever been intimidated by the ambition of the Black woman?
You want to answer that, George? Because I'm only getting myself into trouble.
I will tell you, young George, the George that didn't know a whole lot about the ambition of Black women once upon a time, yeah, I might have been a little bit intimidated by that back in the day. I mean, if you go back, for us at least, you know, 20 years, I think Black women were, hey, I'm all that, and I don't need y'all. I can, do my own thing. You can, because they can get it focused on their careers, and if you don't know how to handle that, then you're gonna fall behind. So yeah, you can get intimidated. Now, George of today, I know how to handle that and complement that. Because that's what we need to be doing. You if I knew today what back in the day, if I knew that then, I'd probably be off in a better place. But like I said, today, I know how to deal with that, and I know how to complement that. And so, and encourage it, because you might not, boy, Black men might not want to hear this, but you might not be the big money maker in the house. You might not be the one that's got the VP job. It could be her. How are you going to deal with that is the question. You going to let that intimidate you, or are you going to complement that and just continue to strive to do what you need to do? So, first you got to smile on your face.
That's what I was just about to say.
No, because that was beautiful what you said. I was never intimidated by a Black woman. Never will be. But number one is because it should be scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I'm fly. That's number one. But seriously, I was always around strong Black women, single Black mothers that had to do it all. So, I was just trained to think that's just the way it is, because I've always seen women like my aunt Ruth. She had to be like 5'2". I seen her knock my father into he came to the house drunk one time, knocked my father into the bathroom. And, he was out of line, but he sobered up quick. And, and not just that, it's just like, as you get a little older, you understand how the world works. You see all this on this woman's plate. It's like, wow, and for the longest, probably from teens to early 20s, I'm saying, why would any woman want to have a kid by themselves? Because it's like, hold on. You got to dip out of here before 4:15. Make sure you're on that train. God forbid anybody gets sick. And then you got to pick up this kid by 5 o'clock. And if you are there a minute later, they're going to charge you $5 a minute, as a penalty. And then if it happens 2 times in a row, the cops are going to get involved. So it's a whole lot on the woman's plate. But still, at the same time, I mean, even if I'm, making $20,000 a year, married to Oprah, I'm still getting a big piece of chicken. Because like my man Bill Burr said, if this was the Titanic, nobody wants to trade places with a man. Right. Women and children first. You don't want to trade places with me.
Right.
Nobody's gonna kill them spiders and take mice out of the garbage can. No, that's so. As long as that job is open, I'm gonna be all right. But at the same time, it's like if you with some, you should always be with people who are a little bit better than you, because that makes you dig a little deeper, reach a little further to keep up with them. And in turn, you're going to be better. So if you're with somebody who's got some ambition and at least got a plan and know what you're doing, any man who, who's got a plan or don't have a plan, part of being a leader or the man of the house or, whatever, is delegating responsibility. So if this is what she's going to do and, she's going to stay up, get up, make her some coffee. Blah, blah. Nah, I'll put the kids to bed, but I get knocked that out. You got a test on Friday? No, but I cook dinner. I order some Chinese food or something like that. That's what that teamwork BS is about. I'm trying hard not to cuss.
Good job, Sir Jackson. Good job.
Give it up for Pastor Buck, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, wow.
So, how have you seen? What changes have you seen in the Black woman over the course of time, and what, depending on what the changes are, what do you think contributed to that?
Oh, yeah, George.
We'll let you start on that one. Yeah, go. I'm gonna throw it at you right.
You start the head first,
right? Yeah. Oh man. Wow. That's a loaded question. Honestly, I will tell you, because back in the day, our Black women got some bad raps. I will be honest, they did, because as he said, the attitude, the head, this, and you ain't, all of that stuff. it was real back in the day. That's for sure. That's why I said, black women don't take no mess. I mean, that's like James Brown said, but it's the changes that I've seen though from that. I've seen a more mature woman develop. Um, if you look at today, because another thing that I guess back in the day that our black women, and this is just being real, I don't think they had the respect that they have for black men today. I don't think that was back in the day, because they would say, well, y'all ain't doing nothing. You black men, y'all ain't got nothing going on. And so I think there has been a maturity in that process, and they realize that there are a lot of black men out here really trying to do some things. So although they were probably more mature than we were back in the day, I think it's even further gone further than that at this stage of the game.
Yeah, without question. It's kind of like lends itself to the first question. It's like, back in the days, we didn't have a whole lot. And then there were a whole lot of external forces like the economy. Racism was a little higher than what it was. So it was really hard for black men to be black, to be a man, and, all that stuff. So I think women, because of the internet, I mean, you got everything in the professional world, globalization, the internet, remote computing, all types of stuff. It's leveling out the playing field. You don't have to just be physically strong in order to do a job. Now you can go to school, learn something. So I have just as many, lady co-workers that are working in technical field that as they are men. So a lot of them are starting to become comfortable with their power, their voice, and just understanding, I have an opinion, and I demand the same respect that a man has. And I can see where that's kind of wearing the carpet thin in certain areas. I mean, not with me, but I mean, it's because there are some folks that may miss the opportunity bus, who want to talk to Miss, I'm a director of a Fortune 500 company, and then feel slighted. It's like, oh, you high sedity. And the backstory is like, yo, she waiting for a black man. And she might be waiting for a black man who makes as much as she does, which may not, might be a little hard to find. But, a lot of dudes, like as you asked in the last question, may be intimidated by that. So she may catch a rap that she didn't really deserve or really play into. It's like, hey, listen, dude, I'm in charge of, like $700 billion worth of corporate decisions. I can't hang out on 125th Street or get high with you clowns. I got to watch my image. So it's a lot of that going on. So the air is getting thinner for a lot of people, so to speak, and so you got to deal with things accordingly, So nothing but love and what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathy and empathy goes out to the black woman for doing what she do.
So last night we kind of touched on the whole dating thing, and we were talking about how black women, so we were talking about the difference of them approaching you or you approaching them, and we talked about the balance between making it known that, hey, I'm interested and I'm approachable, versus coming off thirsty by approaching and, you know what I'm saying, coming on too aggressive. So I know, Mitchell, you've been off that dating scene for a while. Percy, don't know how long you've been off that dating scene, but
mind your business.
But what's your take on that? Is it a turnoff for a woman to approach at all, or just certain ways?
I'm gonna give George a pass because you say he's been on the market for a little while. Just as of recently, I started to understand what women kind of go through, because I got some female friends, very good, very smart young ladies, and they're like, so depending on what you look like or depending on what your audience is, you can leave your building and be approached by like 9 dudes before you get to work, and after a while, it might be cute. Hey, it's a cute outfit. Hey, it's cute. And then, hey, my man, what's dude, and so after a while, it kind of starts to mess with you. I had no idea. So that's how come, hey, mama, how you doing? And then, why you acting all high sedity? I can see my side of that, but now I'm starting to understand her side. So that's just one thing, and it kind of leads back into what I was saying. Hey, thank you. This kind of leans back into what I was saying. It's like this areas that we're missing each other. We're not communicating, seeing what goes on the other side, and I think that's kind of keeping us apart. And I guess a woman talking to a dude, I applaud that. Because the prey doesn't get to choose the predator, as I said last night. So, I mean, like, if you're just sitting there waiting to be cute, it might work out for you. Then again, it may not. You might go home frustrated. But at the same time, there's a cool way to do it because, nothing really pisses me off is having to tell a young lady that I'm not interested. Because then, I don't, number one, I'm somewhat of a sissy. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But then at the same time, it's like, hey, mama, blah, blah. What, you gay? If I was, no, but I have been working out. Thank you. But it turns into something else. So now all of a sudden she walk around. Yeah, he think he cute. No, all of a sudden she unfriend you and everything. So that could be a little, but it's really rough.
Go ahead.
Why you laughing at me, George?
I was just gonna say, I've seen both. When I was in the dating world, I've seen both sides. I've seen two types. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some that were over aggressive, and then I've seen some that they were like right there. They were, and I will use my wife as an example. My wife initially, she approached me. She, as I say, she was stalking me and stuff. But she did it in a very.
Right there on that beach.
She'll tell you. I promise you, she'll tell you. She'll tell you. But she did it in a classy manner, and that's what actually drew my attention because it was classy. She was classy with it. It wasn't one of those I kind of just wanted to, it was like he was saying, right. It wasn't like, I'm ready to get married, have kids, and it was a real classy thing. So, that caught my attention. And truth be told, that will catch our attention a whole lot of times if it's classy, because as I can't remember what he said, but you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah, you can, but you have to move. You have to relocate.
You have to relocate, right?
Yeah, that's the secret sauce to that one. But you're absolutely right. I mean, and it's because women don't get a lot of practice in that. Nor should they. I mean, it's just the way society is set up. Women don't get a lot of practice in that. And so, that's why, it comes across awkward. Guys get used to rejection after a while. For the longest, start off shy, like, oh, excuse me, ma'am, and then, it's, hi, how you doing? Whatever, and just talk and just let things grow to wherever they're gonna grow. But, because they haven't needed to go out there and hunt, which where prey and the predator thing came from, that's something that they just never really took the time to get good at. But there's some that are amazing at, like how you just said, your wife. You can start up a conversation. Hey, how are you? How you doing? Is that a blue shirt you wear? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I saw it. And then, just talk and let just things flow organically. But then you got some dudes that, come across and make us all look bad. And for your lady listeners, we have the same problem with them clowns, It's like, hey, how you doing? Yo, check this out. What color your panties? Slow down, kid. Yo,
right. Right.
Yo,
you like slow down,
You farting in the air conditioning. You making it bad for all of us, dude. Take that outside, dude.
Right. And that's you know what? And it's crazy. That's the reason why a lot of us got a bad rap to begin with, because we having to contend with, like you said, with the knuckleheads going out there. Yo, baby, yo, mama, what's up with? Wait a minute. We ain't all like that. Some of us got some class to us as well. So, we got a real bad rap when it came to that.
But some of them chicks like that too. So let's just keep it 100 now.
Right. You do have something. Right. You do have something like that.
So, Percy, you mentioned like you have a lot of conversations with young ladies, colleagues, you're in groups, things like that, and it's helped you with understanding what you like, even when you gave the example of how she done ran into 9 people talking about, yo, I like your outfit, by the time she gets to the 10th one, she like, whatever. And although you may be the 10th person that don't understand, you think she just got a bad attitude, but in actuality, she just, tired for whatever reason from the previous 9. So you have those conversations, and it leads you to understanding the woman better than you have. But for a married man, do you all have those conversations in home with your wife that helps you understand the woman more? Like, George, I know a lot of things we were talking about, you kind of referenced back in the day, because you've been off the market. But and some of that, even seeing us, because one of the things you mentioned was how us maturing, you see us we've matured, but is it that the Black woman has matured, or is it the women that you may or may have been connected to have matured because we're older? Or do you feel we've matured as a whole?
Yeah, no, definitely as a whole. And yeah, I will tell you, yes, my wife and I, we have conversations like that. And believe it or not, she helps me understand a lot of things when it comes to getting to know, if you will, the Black woman, and helping me to understand, where, and obviously she doesn't speak for all of them, but she gives me the general understanding of, where they would be coming from in certain situations and things like that. But overall, yes, I've seen the maturity of the Black woman as a whole. Like I said, I have a wife, but I do have a lot of colleagues, a lot of women in church that I know and other places. So yeah, it's been an overall maturity, not just from, people that I just know or in my circle. So,
women in church. Oh Lord.
That's a whole nother Mo show.
And as we take this moment to plug one of our sponsors,
right. Right.
As we pass that plate around, remember to tip the bartender. Cannot get off.
Help us, Jesus.
So, is he here?
So we've talked about the maturity, we talked about the ambition, we talked about how you see the Black woman, we talked about how you see her standing and protecting and moving forward for the Black man. How do you feel the Black woman is? Like, do you, and not just from this space of the pandemic, but hold on, this is Keith. Try the email. He said he is not letting him in. I told him to try the email. How is she? Like, in the pandemic is a lot going on, so people are more conscious about where we are, how we're doing, and stuff like that. But do you feel that in this day, in this time, she's okay? Have you checked on her? Like, do you feel like she's just going through the motions? Do you feel like she's as weighted as men are? Or like, where do you see her? Like, how do you feel she's doing?
That's hard to say. In my opinion, because everybody puts on their game face, even men. And that's one of the, things that kind of feeds in this toxic masculinity discussion we have. It's because, women put on makeup, hide blemishes, scars, acne, and stuff like that. Men's makeup is to act like it don't hurt. Act like everything is cool. We got to keep that facade going on. And that's why a lot of us are in bad shape. You talk to them, it's like, using the B word, stuff like that, because they haven't unpacked a lot of that stuff they got going on. But I'm 52 years old, so I done kissed a few frogs and seen a few fights in my day. But of course, like, women are a little bit more in tune with their emotions and more free to express themselves. And whereas guys who usually don't, growing up, like, yo, don't come in here crying, boy. So with the pandemic and all this other stuff like that, a lot of women have been making the best of it that I know of. And, I have friends, we talk, and just decompress and, have drinks via, Zoom or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, it's hard for everybody. And then, and probably what's on top of just asking how you doing is just understand how to communicate, because men and women communicate differently. And, so, being able to read the signs, how many times if, hey, how you doing? Fine. That she ain't fine. You know, so I mean, like when you talking to a guy, he's like, oh, she says she fine, peace, I'm out. You know, turn on the PlayStation, keep it moving. But then all of a sudden, it's a lot that you haven't heard. So I mean, it's one of those other bridges that maybe in the future we'll be able to kind of be able to talk to each other a little bit more, you know, fruitfully. You know. So,
I've seen kind of the, I've seen kind of the gamut actually. I mean, I've seen some like Percy reference. They kind of got the game face on, and nothing is bothering them. And then I've seen some that are really concerned about things that are going on in the world today. When you think about the pandemic, you think about politics. You think about if they got children or not, are they going to be okay going through this to school, or again with the as my CNN friends say, we got two pandemics going on. You got the COVID-19 and you got racism. So they thinking about you thinking about is my husband, is my brother, my son, is they gonna leave, are they gonna come back home? Do I got to worry about something happening in police? So I mean, I've kind of seen the gamut when it comes to that. That's kind of one thing that I have learned being married. I have gotten to a place where I know when there is something that I need to press and say, hey, do we need to talk about this? Do we not need to talk about this? Or I know, let me just shut up and let it ride for a minute. And if it has to come out, it'll come out. So, yeah, I mean, kind of the gamut that I've seen.
That's big what you said, because like part of intimacy is getting to know the person you're with. So I mean, when you're talking, when you can just, when you walk into a house and then like, we've all had bad days when your significant other can take a look at you and be like, yo, you good? And you just walk out. That person knows you, and that's a relationship that has to be built and established and nurtured in order to maintain. But I mean, like, a lot of times, sometimes people put the cart before the horse, have these expectations before they even get to really know a person. So it's like, well, hey, I'm not him. Slow down, Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah. So, that's what I've run into in my person. So because sometimes you just get tired, like, you just want instant relationship, and it's like, oh, slow down. You auditioning and I'm auditioning. See if the role is the right role.
Okay, I like that audition. So even in
Yes.
even in that, like one of the things that I because I do like my inspirational videos and things like that, and one of the things that I try to encourage people to do is stop lying. Like when someone asks you, "Are you okay?" Even if you don't want to have the conversation and unpack it with them, don't lie about it. We have to be honest about where we are if we're ever going to heal some things. I think we need to conversate more. Even when social media really started blowing up, you have everybody spewing opinions, but really what they're spewing is their hurt from their perspectives, their encounters, their exchanges. But we never really take the time to heal, and we do a disservice to ourselves because all that happens is that hurt, that pain, that whatever, it grows with us. And then there are other situations we're encountering and it goes on top of that and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And sooner or later you explode. And then this time with so much going on, because you got the pandemic, so you have people who are quarantining alone. And then now you work from home. So it's like you are literally the only person that you're physically coming in contact with on a day-to-day basis. That can be a lot for some people because you don't feel like you have an outlet. So it's like when you encounter people, it's like, how you doing? Okay, maybe I don't want to talk to you. Be like, I'm okay, or I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay, because that's something else too. Because sometimes you don't. It's so much that I can't even unpack it in this moment. It's not even that I don't want to talk about it with you. I don't know where to start. It's so much. Let me identify what's going on. I know I'm not okay. I know I'm going to be okay. I don't know how or when, but I don't even understand what I'm really dealing with. I don't really understand what I'm experiencing. Like for myself, I was telling them how some weeks ago, I feel like I have been having many bouts with many depression moments. And I couldn't even really identify why they were coming up, and they were coming so frequently. And even in sometimes in your reach, because everybody maybe that you're connected to may be dealing with their own thing. It's like, hey, I'm feeling this way, or hey, this is going on. And it's like, yeah, or well, me too, and this, that, and the other thing. And so it becomes this thing where I'm sick, you sick, he sick, she sick, everybody sick. How do we get healed? So during that, how do you take care of yourself and help her if you had to help her unpack what it is she may be carrying?
Well, I can't really talk towards anybody else, but you can benefit from compartmentalizing stress, because there's always going to be some BS. It's always going to come. And life, all of life is like drinking out of a fire hose. It just keeps coming at you. And very rarely is any tragedy or emergency going to stop and say, yo, hold on, wait, you good? Go ahead. And then keep coming at you. So, I mean, like, as long as you got like people you can talk to, you can vent to and talk constructively, as long as you actually want to heal, because a lot of people don't, that's their whole identity. So you got to watch out for that. And at the same time, if you're helping somebody, you got to remember why they tell you on an airplane, put that oxygen mask on your face first, because I mean, as Black folks, we don't really like going to take therapy and anything pertaining to mental health. And, when we dealing with PTSD out the womb, so, I mean, then you just got problems just being Black. And just what made me think about that is that young lady out in, I think it's Colorado, who had a family with her. And then they reported the plates off a stolen motorcycle, they matched her vehicle. And they had the kids on, stretch. I mean, as a mother, how you gonna feel about that? So that's gotta stress out. To see all our babies screaming and crying, there's nothing she can do. So as long as you got somebody you can talk to and say, hey, at least you can deal with that. And then you take little bites out of the problem. You talk to it, you get help, you get counseling, whatever's necessary to get you to the other side. Because the worst thing you do is carry around that poison on your back. That's destructive. I mean, that'll keep you out of whatever your next situation's supposed to be, relationship or otherwise, or just your growth as a person. So I mean, to tie all these points together, like back in the 80s and 90s, girls were a certain way. We're girls, but see now there's so many other things that girls are involved in, so they're just not gonna fall in line with the cookie cutter impression of what the world thinks I should be, or she should be, whatever. So, I mean, same thing with, approaching yourself. One thing about being a man, like the way we deal with problems, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it can be used for good because you just don't want to come out and just dump everything on somebody and say, oh, whatever. But, when you can just talk and say, hey, you know what? Oh, don't worry, let it cook slow. Just put it in the oven. We'll be all right. We could always eat Chinese. I'm sorry, y'all. But I'm trying to be a gracious guest. But what happens is like, it's you can't. Too bad this is a Christian show because I have an excellent analogy my father used to tell me. But it won't fly here.
Talk about it.
You gonna edit this out?
I can't edit it out. It's live.
Hey, come on and tell it. Come on and tell it.
Snap. Okay, well, my pops used to say this, right? It's a story about the old hooker and a young hooker. So the young hooker comes out. She's like, my jaws are killing me. And then she's like, why? I said, I just finished working on that dude. So the old chick says, yo, you just get paid for the tip. Because she's putting on all that work, trying to take it all. But, it's take what you can deal with it and push it to the side. Just deal with it, and then come back, get your mind off of it. Talk to your friends, decompress, whatever. Huh? I'm not going past the joke. I'm just getting canceled. I moved past the joke. Right? Have your pastor text me. We'll explain to her. She didn't know. But no, it's just what happens. You gotta maintain, your head at all costs. And because women will sponge for a lot of household emotional BS, you're unlearning. You're learning. I'm a person. I'm a whole person. I need to, enjoy everything a whole person can. I don't need to be the household emotional sponge or something like that. Yeah, let the baby cry. She'll cry herself to sleep. Or yeah, don't come back in here until you win a trophy, whatever the story is. Or yo, chill. I had a hard day too. We can talk about something that makes us both happy. Or either you can listen to me or I listen to you, but we're gonna work this out, get to a better place. I mean, it's 1,000 ways you can deal with it, but it's you gotta seek clarity. Have that little emotional enema just to purge yourself so you can deal with the rest of the world.
It's interesting. It's a couple points I wrote down because I think they're very, very vital. One is, if I'll just start with the mental health issue and how, like you said, us as Black people and that's the gamut of Black people. We don't like to talk to counselors or don't want to go to psychiatrists or, seek help, talk to somebody. That's a big thing. And because we do tend to keep that stuff in. And it bleeds out into every aspect of your life. It can bleed out to a relationship. It can bleed out to your job, your career. It can bleed out to your friends, home, whatever, in different ways. So, I think it's a lot of people that have been talking about that actually. But I think if you need to talk to a counselor, you need to go talk to a counselor to get that stuff out, because again, it can ruin your life in a lot of ways. Yeah. So that's one good point. The other good point I'm reminded of when you talked about the women and a lot of Black women holding the emotion of the household. I'm reminded of that episode of Good Times when James died. You know what I'm saying? And here she is. She just, she holding all this together, trying to deal with him dying, trying to deal with the kids, trying to deal with the friends, and eventually it just come out. Damn. Because go ahead.
That was the best thing that ever happened to Florida Evans, man, because James Evans, he has a history of making bad choices.
Right.
That same episode. Hey, Florida, because they're the split screen TV. Hey, do me a favor, Mo, look to your left. No, look to your right. Look to your right. Help me out.
Why?
Well, I know. Just look to your left because you see the screen. No, to your right. I mean, because I'm on your line. Just look at me like we talking on a split screen TV joint.
Okay.
He'd be like, hey, Florida, how you doing? I just got a promotion. Yeah, take all the rent money and spend it on liquor and chicken. And that's what he do. So they gonna blow out the rent money, and then all of a sudden he be like putting on his clothes. Mr. White Man come up behind him. Hey, James, we got some bad news. The economy's a little slow, so we gotta cut your hours down. And he be what? And then he come in the house, and then of course JJ is dancing and everything, and then the camera zooming on him, and he got the crazy angry Black man face. And then hey Dad, I heard about the promotion. Shut up, boy. Every other episode, it was just nothing really uplifting about that show that I really remember, other than watching Janet Jackson go through puberty. That was about it. I'm done. So I didn't connect a lot with that show, but neither did I with the Huxtables and stuff. So I mean,
I just was reminded.
But you're right.
It's funny you take that. It was just, but that's the truth. I mean, and honestly, like you said, we grew up with strong Black moms that dealt with some of our knuckleheaded fathers at times, and again, they kept the whole household together. They did what they needed to do for their kids,
yes.
for to keep the household running, whether that was going out getting their own job or 2 or 3 jobs to pay the rent, the bills, because like I say, the knucklehead dad wasn't doing right. So you would never know. And I'll tell you, just for me, it wasn't until I got older and discovered the things that my mom went through.
Yes, I was going that point. Exactly. Go ahead.
Because as a kid, I thought everything was great, because I wake up, I got breakfast, I'm off to school, she buying me clothes, school supplies, whatever Christmas come around, I got a ton of stuff for Christmas. But behind the scenes, there was all kind of other stuff going on that, like you say, you just had no idea about. So Yeah, going back to you, I guess back to your initial point, Mo, that you got to realize and try to help the woman when there's an issue. You've got to, if it's something that's not immediately wanting to come out, all right, okay, babe, I get it, or hey, okay, I understand, but hey, let's break this thing down in pieces. When you get ready, tell me the first part, or tell me the second part, or whatever, so I can at least start to continue to get off your brain, because that, I guess, like I said at the beginning, that could hurt you in a lot of ways.
But George, can I add to your point? And
Absolutely.
it kind of dovetails into a separate conversation. Men and women communicate differently. And then it takes some type of effort to stop and make you say, hey, you know what? I can't talk to Mo the same way I talk to George. And then so it's like, after you're with somebody, you kind of understand. I hate, trendy stuff like, what's your love language? No, it's like, hold on, I'm trying to understand where you at, where your head is at. Let's talk.
Right.
And then you kind of understand, like, whatever, especially, if you living by yourself as a dude, and you hang out with other dudes, you know how to speak dude fluently. But, when it comes to dealing with women, there are some little subtle nuances and stuff like that. They may, because I've gotten many fights over something I said was interpreted in a way I didn't mean. So it's like, oh, hold on, wait. And then, then it becomes clear as you get a little older, men and women talk completely differently. But as you said, like, I had an epiphany moment. Me and my mom took a road trip one time. I think I went up to visit her. And we drove down to Charlotte. And then we talked, and we had that same discussion you just alluded to. She let me know how hard it was when she was growing up. She said, yo, one winter, I didn't have a coat. I'm like, whoa, but then it's like, yo, wait, I had an Atari. What are you talking about? And yeah, well, right. That's why you had an Atari. So that goes back, and what I'm saying about being a strong Black woman, all type of stuff like that, is y'all been holding it down for a while, and then we don't have the insight into all that. Not all of us do have the insight to build that level of, because I'm not on no try to get cool points respect. It's just, this is what I've seen, and this is how I'm absorbing what I've observed, and I'm acting on that. So, when I get, oh, you ain't all right, cool, that's you. But at the same time, I do understand. I'm gonna let you sit up there and snap your fingers and get all love and hip hop. But at the same time, you do know some chicks that really got their heads on right. There's this, you can vibe and communicate with. So I mean, the same way, I'm letting, separating the hood rats from, folks really trying to make moves. You gotta do the same thing with dudes. It's like, oh, come on, dude, yes. But it's a little different from a dude, because it's like, all of a sudden it's like, yo, can I have your number? No, and then all of a sudden you're gonna get bombarded with cusses and stuff like that.
Right.
Mean words and stuff that you can't say on this religious channel. Brought to you by Ecclesiastes, verse 19, chapter 7.
First, I'm gonna put you on the timeout.
Hercules was choking that chicken. He was, as he had to cook dinner.
Oh, baby, Jesus.
Your pastor gonna be mad at you.
I'm gonna get ran out the church.
Yes,
and already sent me call me and text me.
But yo, there's a market in secular TV. Don't work for you.
Definitely market. That's right.
I need to stay safe, because they can't handle that chick from back when. Like, I don't think nobody can. I'm trying to get married one day, so I'm gonna stay on this path. It's kind of my glue that keeps me together and on the right track.
You've been consistent. You've been consistent, and you be true to yourself, and that's what's the difference.
So
you've been the same most since I met you.
Talking about the helping unpack where she is and how she is. One of the comments came through stating that it wasn't a man's job to help the woman unpack, how she is if she came into it with it. And my take on it is, if you plan to build with her and you want a solid foundation that you're going to build with her on, you do want to be a participant in that unpacking and ensuring she's on her tracks to being healed, especially if that's what she's doing, and supporting that. Otherwise, you be on the receiving end of all of the bitterness and whatever else spews out. What's your take on it?
You asking Percy?
I don't know.
No, I'll let you take it, Joe. I got a mouthful.
Well, so I'll give you the nice and easy first, and then Percy will take the rough and so here's the deal. All right, so I'll put it to you like this. I have been told, and I'll put it in this aspect.
Disclaimer.
Right. I have been told that, oh, well, you're not here to save me. And I said, huh, okay. That wasn't my thought, but since you said that, okay, I'm gonna just leave it alone. And it was a total turnoff because I wasn't trying to save you. I was just trying to be, if you will, a sounding board. So that's one of the things where, and this is just my opinion again, where I do think our Black women have come a long way because they are now open to just having that dialogue back and forth versus, you trying to really be honest and just like, okay, well, baby, what's going on? Or, whatever. And they coming at you saying, oh, well, you can't help me. Well, I'm just trying to be a sounding board. Maybe that sounding board will help you because now you're at least getting that stuff off your chest and you're free to think. So, that's the nice and easy portion of it. I know Percy got some of the.
No, just build it. Tag me in, George. Tag me in like a wrestler.
Come on, baby. Come on. Pow. There it is.
But you're absolutely right. And it's not just a woman thing. I think anybody who needs to find themselves or is in that stage of trying to figure out should chill. Just don't even be in a relationship on that. And just till you find out. Because, see, and it's the reason why. It's because, like, the whole being a human is about becoming. Right? Because you knew who you was when you were 10 years old. Then all of a sudden you got into high school and found out about makeup or either whatever, or lifting weights, whatever it is. Then you became that person and you got yourself a better job. And then, you got yourself a better car. You moved to a better neighborhood. So you're constantly becoming. So when you take on a mate, you have a new source of gravity in your life. So you have to do what's necessary to keep that relationship healthy. And then you also got to do what's necessary to keep yourself necessary. Those two vectors can, either move in the same direction because, like, I don't know, I had sushi when I was in 1990s. And of course, a woman introduced that to me. So, I mean, you with somebody, I mean, if you in a bad place, your head ain't gonna be right. Now, I don't eat no bait or no raw food, whatever. Now, all of a sudden, 2 years later, you're like, wow, this is good. Why didn't I start this early in life with those stories? So, I mean,
right.
When you're ready to become the person that you need to be, then, I feel then you're ready to be with somebody. Because it's like, like, hey, someone, like I could be a devout, I don't know, I'm just raised Seventh-day Adventist. But, you're a Christian and I could be a Muslim, just for conversation's sake. That's not thank you. Today's show is brought to you by Kettle One, ladies and gentlemen. Kettle One.
It is not. It really isn't. I promise.
Tip your bartender.
It's brought to you by Zoom.
but yeah, Zoom and whoever else your sponsors are. But no, what I'm saying is like, you constantly find out who you are. And then once you say, hey, you know what? I got a good job. I think I'm ready to take on. Then you got to be open to that other person because and all this stuff ties together. The way women are now, what we spoke about, last couple of paragraphs, and, her ambition, your ambition, she may want to be a stay-at-home mom. She may want to be a doctor or author or something like that, whatever. Who knows? Or something non-traditional, like, like an electrician, even, whatever. And so you got to be able to talk openly about that because she's a real person. She's a human being. She has ambition, and her value will probably be higher than a man's at some point in the very near future. So, I mean, so if you got some stuff that you unpacking from your head, take a time out. Because I remember when I got divorced, chick told me something I feel like I should pay her for. She was like, yo, how long you been divorced? It's like about 2 years. You ain't ready. And then I'm like, using compound curses and calling names and stuff like that. She was absolutely right. Because like, it was something I was still trying to get my balance from. Because I was still trying to deal with all the hurt and confusion from all the other good stuff. So I couldn't properly contribute to what I happened to be in, or the relationship I was trying to find myself into. And then that's probably one of the things, that I deal with just in general. It's like, hey, am I contributing to this relationship? Because, she has a future. She has dreams and desires. Is what my trajectory going to slow her down, or is she going to slow me down? Or how can we both move in the same direction? So my communication's got to be on point so she understands the vision and vice versa. I got to have my ears on, listen up. It's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean, you constantly becoming, and then the person you with got to be able to stand back and say, no, this do you, I'm following your lead, whatever.
But see, I think those are I agree with both statements from both you guys. I think where you were discussing, though, Percy, was coming from a different perspective. It's one thing when you're trying to figure out who you are and getting into a relationship, because if that be the case, you don't even know what you have to offer if you're still unsure who you are. That's one thing. But when I'm talking about, you encounter stuff all the time through life. You know what I'm saying? I could have just, had an experience the day before I met you, and it's like, yo, it doesn't necessarily unpack overnight. So every time there's an encounter or an exchange or a situation that I have to unpack, that sets me back months or years from getting into a relationship. No, it's one thing to not know who you are, be totally clueless and be all jacked up. Listen, the only thing you can afford to focus on at that point in that frame of mind is yourself. You have to get healthy. You have to get healed. You don't go into something like that.
But hear me out. Hear me out, because
in a relationship.
I'm sorry.
And there's some stuff I just still need to unpack, because sometimes you don't even know some of the stuff you're carrying, but that relationship may knock on that door. And so now that door is open, do you tell me take time to go unpack that thing, and when you finish, we'll continue?
No, but hear me out, because it's unpacking that, and it's not always, hey, I'm crazy, or something's blowing my head up. A lot of times something just come out. I mean, like, and it'll attack you in a funny way. It could be, 1,000 different things. When I'm saying finding out who you are, because there's always things that's going to take you off your path. Like, I went to school to be a cook, and I went to school to be a video producer. I don't do that for a living now. So you got to deal with, what's in front of you and be able to adapt to that. So, I mean, and I'm saying that it's like, a hard day at work, maybe one of your kids broke an arm, all types of stuff to set you off. And so if you're in a relationship, just like, I don't care, I'm trying to help you out. It's understanding where you at. Just being able to stop and take a look at, I'm being an asshole here. Hey, Mo, thank you for asking. I'm so, I will take you up when I drink. It's whatever. Just being able to adapt to the situation and utilize your resources. The person you with will either be a resource or hindrance. So, and then knowing where your head is at is how it will guide how you respond. And that's kind of what I mean with that, as far as it goes. I mean, knowing where your head is at, the long term, like I said about the divorce, that was one thing, because I wasn't aware of the negative energy I put out. She picked up on it. But also when you walk in the door, your boss don't know. I mean, you don't know, you just had a fight with your boss and you might be in HR tomorrow morning. You're going to have some stuff on your head, but you got to be mindful of the person you're with. Well, he just better understand. She just better understand.
And you know what? That's a good point. And that's what I was going to say, because since you mentioned, especially if you were at let's just say the beginning of a relationship, or it could possibly be a relationship. The thing is, and that's why I said, and this kind of goes back to when we were talking about you, regardless of that, you have to have somebody that you can get that out with, whether it's a counselor, whether you just, again, if you want to deem this as a religious show, whether you take it to God, whatever, it has to come out, because if it doesn't, right, what's going to happen is it's going to come out to who you're trying to be in that relationship with, whether directly or indirectly. And so again, it's not that, again, that we're trying to come in and save the day, but you still want to know what you're dealing with, because if you don't know what you're dealing with, you're going to have an issue down the line that's gonna creep its ugly head out, and then you're going to be left wondering. Both of you going to be like, well, I didn't even see this coming. What is this about? And so, yes, I think all of us as Black people, I think we have matured to a place where that is starting to happen, where you are getting some of this stuff out.
It might be our age.
And that could be it too. And that could be too. But if it's
age and preference, because some people don't like talking and don't realize that that's why a lot of stuff is still locked inside, because they haven't released it. So George, I love what you were saying, because for me, sometimes I don't even need you to speak back. I just need to know that there's another person there to just that sounding board that you mentioned. Like, even when I know I have a lot of things that I'm juggling, I need to make some decisions in this one area, but I have multiple pieces of it. Like, I'll call my one home girl and she already know. I'll be like, hey, I need a sounding board session. And literally I'll just sit there and I'll be like, so I was thinking, and so I thought, and in my mind I want to, and so I kind of wonder, but then there's this, and just to be able to get it all out of my head. And sometimes even when I'm venting, I can hear how crazy I am, and I can pull myself back in. But when it's just trapped in my head on repeat and constantly going around and around, it's like it never ends. So verbally getting it out. And sometimes I don't always want to be in the house by myself and just talk to the walls or talk to the atmosphere and pretend somebody's there. Having someone there who's genuine, who's attentive and genuinely concerned about my well-being, even if they don't have my answer, just knowing that someone else cares about it, that's good, because I'm that person that I care about you. Like, and something that I struggle with is taking on your things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you my friend, you my friend. If it come at you, it came at both of us. I'm that ride or die. I'm your cheerleader, but I'm also that one that's gonna tell you when you're wrong. And I go as hard in your corner as I do in correcting what you're doing. And it's not that I think I'm better than you or I know everything, but if you're about to stick your fork in the socket and I know the outcome of it, I'm going to tell you. And if me gently speaking to you doesn't get it done, I'm screaming. I'm going in, because I want everybody to win, whether I know you or not. But if I care about you, there's a passion behind it. Your husband tripping, he done went upside your head. You don't know whether or not you're ready to leave, but I'm already suited with the Vaseline. Like, which way we gonna cut him? Like, how do you want to handle this situation? That's me. When you winning, you got a promotion. I may be struggling. You got a promotion. You done got a new car. You just bought a brand new home. You just won the lottery, and I'm still struggling, but I'm still sitting there like, yes, because that means to me you've moved up in some invisible line, and I'm closer towards getting mine. It doesn't bother me that you're winning in my struggling season. I'm that person. So having people there for me slightly or to that degree means a lot. So to have that in a partner, to have that in my spouse, and him be like, yo, babe, you look a little different today. Like, you good? Like, just the fact that he cared, even if he doesn't come up with the answer, if he be like, wow, babe, that's tough. Let's see how we need to, handle this situation. Like, that to me means a lot, because I'm used to handling everything pertaining to Monique on my own. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear that it's not his responsibility to help you unpack, I don't get that. Like, if we gonna build something together, I'm better for you, healthier than I am broken. And it doesn't mean that if I'm saying help me or help me unpack, that don't mean you don't have issues. No, that means we finna help you unpack too. But if we need to unpack this box first, or we need to put both boxes side by side and just be unpacking in each other's company while we unpacking, then so be it. My issues are as important as your issues, and vice versa. It's not one over the other. One is less important, but sometimes some things are more severe. So we may have to prioritize if we got a lot going on. This one gonna cost us everything. This one may just cost us a little. So let's tackle and put all our resources in tackling this, and then we'll get to all of the other things. So it's prioritizing. Somebody just said communication is the key. I think communication is the key in every relationship, in business, in marriage, in friendship, on your jobs, any type of exchange. Communication is key. And one thing that I think is a breakdown in communication is, because I'm saying this is seniority, or this is more important, or what you're saying is irrelevant. We have to learn to hear each other so that we can understand each other. And but if your only purpose in speaking is to be seen as the right and get your way, then we don't get anywhere. I don't want my way or your way. I want what's best. And if your way is wiser, then baby, let's head down that road. Now, if we going down that road and it seems like it's costing us too much, let's push pause, reassess, and figure out a new way.
But ladies and gentlemen, I just got my cue from my host, and I'm gonna have to wrap this up because the food is ready. But Mo, I agree with everything you said, but at the same time, even Jesus knew he couldn't save everybody. Even though, it's cool to be a cheerleader, you got to protect that little special something that's inside of you and say, hey, back off and give a person enough chance to wipe the dust off themselves and get to that point. They can, all right, I'm gonna help you up, but don't take that on by yourself. Goes back to that joke I made that I won't repeat. But well, please have me back on the show. I'm being rude. I'm being a rude guest right now. George, good meeting you last night and the whole night. Good talk with you. But I hope you keep me on rotation. I had a good time, but I'm being cooked for, and this doesn't happen frequently.
Well, we understand. Tell your host we say hello and thank you for letting us borrow you for this time frame. And next time you book, don't book nothing else. Capiche?
Yes, I understood.
Thank you for joining us. See you later.
All right, y'all, take it easy.
All right.
All right, Percy.
All right, Mitchell. Keith gave us the holler. He couldn't get in or whatever was going on, but I love what he said, even in that thing about holding that little piece for yourself, because it does get to be weighty. You know what I'm saying? For even for single women, one of the things or one of the concerns that I used to have in being single so long was establishing so much, doing so much, handling so much on my own, and then finally meeting him and not being able to release. Not being able to share, not being able to invite him in freely to participate in the building. So because I am a believer, I just have faith that, you know, God will assist me in making those adjustments. Was there a portion even in your marriage where there was an adjustment period for either of you? And if so, how did you guys kind of handle that?
Yeah, it's always an adjustment when two people come together and you know each other, but you don't know each other. You know how the old saying goes, you never know somebody until you live with them, right? So there are quirks that obviously I have, quirks that she have that we had to learn and get adjusted to. But there's the key, and I love the thing about communication, because that's one thing that we talk about a lot. Communication, it is key, because again, if you're holding that stuff in, whatever that quirk is, well, let's just say I had a quirk and she never mentioned it to me, right? Mm-hmm. So every time I did whatever that quirk is, now she upset or is bothering her or is just a little nagging thing. And so you can't change it if you don't know about it, you know? So communication, like I say, is an awesome thing. If I can go back for 1 second, because we were still talking about how, and I wrote this down when you were talking about how you have to have that level to get out or to be the sounding board. Because a lot of times you might not have the answer, but communication is so awesome. As that person is talking about it, the answers could be coming as they're talking about it. Because like you said, it's going around in your head. You don't have no room for no answer because all you're thinking about is the problem. But as that problem is coming out, and as it's coming out, you're thinking about it. You're talking about.
Oh, wait, you froze. Okay, you back. You had froze.
I'm back.
Yeah. Oh. No, it's good. We're not having no technical issues.
Right. So it's so it could come out. Those answers are coming out as you're talking about it. And as a sounding board, you're just sitting there saying, yeah, baby. I've had a number of times when my wife has come home with some things about work, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, baby, yeah, I understand, I get it. Yeah. And as she's talking, she's like, you know what? I can do this, or I can do this. And I'm like, you know what? Boom. And now here's the other awesome part to it, because you'll know when you just need to be the sounding board or when you need to suggest. And that's the key right there, because you need to know when you need to, like you said, you need to just listen and just let it all come out, or you need to know when you need to add or help or aid, whatever the case is. And when you figure that difference out, man, oh man, you got some good stuff.
I love that you brought out that point, because one thing is, it's kind of like you got to take the temperature where the communicator is. Like, where are they in the situation? Are they even ready to hear the solution? Or is this so fresh? Because sometimes you can have an experience and it's so fresh that it's just like the only thing you can do, have the knives, you know, keep me in the house, have the car keys, you know, don't let me go to work tomorrow. That happened at work. It's like you have to be able to assess where they are. And I think in a relationship, you get there by understanding the person you're with. You get there by spending time and learning their triggers. And as you learn their triggers, you kind of learn how to desensitize those triggers too. Not that it's your responsibility to do it, but you can kind of you learn. It's like, this one of the moments where it's like, just let her get it out, and we'll talk about it tomorrow or maybe next week, depending on how long it takes for her to come to that space of hearing, or him for that matter. But we are talking about the Black woman tonight, so to let her get to that point. And it's like you have to be able to hear where they are, because sometimes some people are so involved in the pain of it or the initial impact of it that I'm not ready to hear let it go, even though I need to. It only adds fuel to the fire for you to tell me, babe, you just gotta let that go. Let it go. Did you hear what I said? He or she did. Did you hear what I said? This happened. And so it's like you have to be able to kind of know when to jump in. Like, well, I mean, you don't jump rope, but for women, like we used to jump rope back in the day, and if it was like a partner coming in, you had to know when to come in. You can't come in right behind me because I got to get in, feel the rhythm, and get my flow. And so then you have to know when to come jump in behind me. But if you come in on my heels, we finna mess up, because I'm like, how you? First of all, I wasn't even expecting you to be there that quick. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of knowing those things and whatever, and it's getting to know each other. And I think that's what communication does. It allows you to get to know the other person, and the more time you spend together, the more in sync that rhythm becomes. You know what I mean? And like I was saying earlier, with the whole helping of unpacking stuff that may have happened way before you met them, the reason why that may be necessary within the relationship is some stuff you don't even know you're carrying. Like, I've been in the Carolinas this time since December, and me and God have really been unpacking a lot of stuff and healing. And some corridors and rooms he had me go in, I forgot they were there, but he showed me how, even though they were dormant in my thinking, so to speak, they were still active in how I was responding through life, even without thinking about it, without even remembering those things. And so when you have a issue or encounter, exchange, or something painful, something that impacts your feelings, I'm one of those that I'm going to say what I'm going to say or do what I'm going to do regarding it, and then I'm going to keep moving forward. So a lot of times in my past, I didn't really unpack it and heal. I just moved on. And so when you get in certain relationships, even in friendships, it won't even be with your spouse. You could be married, y'all happy, everything going good, praise the Lord, hallelujah. And then in an exchange with one of your homegirls, something happens that knocks on a door from back when that you forgot about. And it's like, boom, now that thing is affecting your marriage. And it had nothing to do with him. It didn't even have anything to do with that friend. But what it was it brought something up, and now that thing is at the forefront, mixing in with your emotions, mixing in with your decisions, and y'all don't even know what's going on. So we already in dead smack in this relationship. We didn't date it, we didn't court it, we didn't exchange vows, we didn't went on a honeymoon, we didn't everything. And so we 3 years into this. You can't just tell me I got to go deal with that on my own.
Right. Absolutely right.
Want us to continue moving in harmony. So
Right. And that again, that's the key. You have to continue to grow and continue to learn and continue to learn each other's when and when not, if you will. You know, how, you know, again, when to react and when not to react, you know, when to listen and when to give input when needed. So like I say, that's real key in a lot of that, especially dealing with our Black women, because they're, like you say, they're a lot. They're very they're educated, intelligent. They understand who they are, what they want, and they know when that person comes around, they know who they are. I believe that in my heart, that they know what they want, and when that person shows up, they know who they are, and they know how they can trust and react, and that's when the relationship gets you can take it to that next level at that point. So
Glad you brought that up, because that's another thing that had been going around too, about how men know right off the bat whether or not she's someone he wants to just, we gonna have this drink together, whether she's just someone he wants to play with or he wants to get to know, or whether or not she's the one. And so what's your take on that? Do you feel like instantly, you identify who this woman is or isn't in your life, whether this was just a brief encounter or whatever? Was that the case with your wife, or did it come over time?
so so two things. I believe that can happen, but there's some things that has to happen first. The first thing is you have to know what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, you will never recognize if she is the right one. With me, yeah, I recognize instantly that my wife was the one that I wanted. When, matter of fact, and like I told you, she initially reached out to me. However, she never knew, and this is the crazy thing, she never knew that I was always asking some of my friends about her. I was always asking my friend, who is that? Really? And she, what? For real? And out the blue, we started actually having some things before. We would go out with some friends of ours, and we would go to a couple of restaurants or whatever. Had no idea, but I knew what I was thinking. So, so yeah. I think if you know who you are and know what you want, absolutely, when that person is the one, because that person immediately is going to emit the qualities that you're looking for. You're going to see it in her. She's going to see it in him. And so, yeah, you'll know. Absolutely. I believe that.
So having been in relationships prior to meeting your wife, was there any were you at all gun shy about
Ooh, good question.
marriage or children and so on and so forth?
I wasn't gun shy, if you will. However, I will say that I was, um, because of past. Let me put it like this. So, because of past relationships, that actually helped me understand who I was and what I wanted and what I did not want.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easy when I recognized that woman and the qualities of what I wanted. It was easy. I didn't have to be gun shy, because now I'm steering myself into where I really wanted to go. However, if it was somebody else, there are all kind of red flags that jump out at you, because it's like, yeah, no, that ain't what I no. Ooh, no, I don't think I want to. And so, yeah, at that point, you're like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this ain't gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So, yeah, I think it goes out the window though. Like I said, you being gun shy or scared to take that step or to approach. I think that goes out the window once you really learn what you want. And again, she was confident enough and knows what she wanted herself, even to approach me. So I think our Black women have matured enough to know that and to realize that, this is what I want out of life. And it's not about trying to find a perfect man, but it's about trying to find the perfect person for you. And I think that's the key.
Y'all just out here confident and happy, building.
Confident and happy. That's right.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. So that's pretty much all I have. I just want to close with um, what what inspiration or what word or what advice or what message would you want to send to the Black woman in this time and this season to kind of encourage her in this journey? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what would you say to her today, to kind of help in that push, from a brotherly perspective? Um, all right, we got a message coming in that said her husband told her that he knew because of her virtue. I think that is so dope. And
That is.
I even to see that and it to be present, and I'm gonna go back to what I was asking you. It's interesting because you hear people say, I see this on you, I see this about you, and so on and so forth. And I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's not even the bad things, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
sometimes we see ourselves a certain way.
Mhm.
And I feel like over time, we've kind of did this thing where in our attempts to be humble, we kind of
Mhm.
see ourselves lowly so that we don't come across cocky. But there's a difference between being confident and being cocky or haughty. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
even though it is thin, it's the difference in my opinion or my understanding of it is the condition of your heart. Um,
Yep.
is not because like I used to get uncomfortable when people gave me compliments.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. You know what I'm saying? But I because of how I saw me, and I don't know where the insecurities came in because when I was younger, maybe just didn't think about it. You just went, you did, you moved. You know what I'm saying? And then people start to make comments about things, and I think over time you start to pay attention to them, and so their comments based upon their preferences begin to shape your perspective or your image of yourself. And so I guess
Mhm.
over time that started to mold how I saw. So then when other people would come in and say something different from what I thought about my physical, it was like, what you want? What you want? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You were kind of suspect. But even from beyond looks, like when people always tell you, oh, you got a bad attitude or you think you know everything, it's like you start to take those things in, so you draw back. You know what I'm saying? And so over time, you have to build that up. So when people come and they see this on you, like even for her husband to be like, um, he saw her virtue, it's like I never really understand what people see. Like people say, "Oh, you look like you're a beast in the spirit." Okay, I don't know what that looks like, but I guess it can look like I was a punk in the spirit, and I guess that would be bad. But how people see things on you and see those things, and sometimes we're trying even what Percy so not so cutely stated. It's like we're doing so much when all we have to do was just show up and be ourselves, but we've created these facades and so on and so forth. But even with that information in mind, what would you like to share with the Black woman today? Because another aspect that we didn't touch on, which I'll probably dive into with the next group of men that I have, and you can touch on it if you want to, is this image of how we have to present ourselves has become so vivid. Like even Percy touched on it earlier, like y'all do the makeup to mask things and the hair and all of this stuff, and it's like some won't even go out the house without certain things. You know what I'm saying? During
Mhm.
this pandemic, I feel like a lot of us sort of unmasked ourselves. You see women now more with their natural hair. You see them with
Mhm.
no makeup. I was
Mhm.
never a makeup girl. But with social media and opinions and stuff, you don't have time to want to deal with all of the backlash or whatever. And I remember it was a rapper or one of those R&B dudes that's out, one of the young ones, and he was saying he apologized to the Black woman because he feel like we, meaning the Black men, had sold them so many lies where they felt like they had to get butt injections, breast implants, plastic surgery. They redoing all of this stuff, and it's like you got to do all of this to present yourself. And we failed to tell you that you were just beautiful as you were. So, with all of that, again,
Mhm.
what would be your closing message to the Black woman today?
So so you got them. Yes, a lot. So the first thing I would say, to the black woman, if I can, I'll let's just deal with this image thing real quick, because this is something that I know we did kind of touch on a little bit yesterday in a little conversation we were having. And I think you hit it on the head. I think because of what society has put out there, how we're supposed to look, I think that's the reason why a lot of is women period, but a lot of, even more so, our black women too now are getting into, like you said, getting the breast done, the butt injections, all this stuff, because this is how society is saying, yeah, this is how you gotta look, you know. And it's because of, unfortunately, like I said, and you, like I said, you hit it on the head, looking at a lot of TV, a lot of the music of today, videos, all that stuff. This is what they say is appealing. My message to that I would say to our sisters is be yourself. Because if I go back some years in time, and it's funny, me and my wife were talking about this not too long ago, as far as how the dress has changed from when we were kids growing up all the way to now. At least when we were kids growing up, there was stuff at least left to the imagination. Nowadays, it's not. And I don't have issues with the, if you want to do the eyelashes and the hair and all that, that's all fine, well and good. That's
Yes.
you do you, boo. But the thing is, be real to yourself. Because, and like with my, and I use my wife all the time as an example for this, is that my wife is very classy. Yeah, she's not gonna go out to the store with rollers and a bonnet on her head. She's gonna go and be presentable. She ain't overdoing it. She ain't finna just make up all and dress to the nines just go to the store. However, she's not going out there looking like a ragamuffin either. So but that's who she is. That's how she grew up, and she got those if you will, that stuff kind of inbred in her. And so she realizes the importance of just being just presentable. You ain't got to overdo it. So yeah, be yourself. That's one message that if I could stress to, again, the black women that's listening and all over, just please be yourself. Be true to who you are. My continued message to that also is to continue to be strong, continue to strive to be the best that you can be for you. And if you're looking for that person that you want to say that's Mr. Right or Mr. Perfect, I will tell you again, you're not going to find Mr. Perfect. However, you will find Mr. Perfect that's for you. And so that's what you strive for. You don't strive to just look for, because the men too, and again, I know this is not about the black men, but even the black men has been given that image they got to look like. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not about that, because you can get the hottest woman in the world and she could be a devil inside.
The devil wears Prada.
Right. So now you might have the baddest chick, but look what you done went through to get to her. So you got to be true to who you are. Again, just continue to strive to the heights that you can. For the longest time, black women have, and I'll say it, they've carried this country, they've carried this world for a long time. I mean, if you go back in our history, is black woman after black woman after black woman that has done amazing things, and we just need to continue to just strive to do that. Love God first, love your family, be who you are, and be true to yourself. That's the bottom line. Be true to yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell. Again, give my thanks and appreciation to Mrs. Mitchell for loaning you to us for this time frame to have this conversation. Hopefully, we'll be able to have you back at a later date if you so choose to. You enjoyed yourself. Well, we enjoyed.
Absolutely, I did.
Awesome. Well, you can go ahead on and chime out. I'll go ahead and close out the show, and we'll be connecting soon because I still need my list.
Okay.
And even though Keith didn't get on here, I'm still holding all y'all responsible for getting me to the door that we discussed yesterday. Well,
Absolutely. We're going to work on it.
George, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate it, Bo.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. It has been our first episode of Between Brothers and Sisters, where we've been discussing the Black woman. Join me next Friday, where we have an all-female panel. Amazing 3 young ladies. So we're going to have a good time. We'll still be discussing the Black woman, but next week we'll get to hear the Black woman's perspective. So we hope you'll chime in for that. Thank you to those who actually engage with us and your comments. We appreciate it. Miss Bailey, who will actually be one of our panelists next week. I see we got some check-ins from Lady New Grove and Latanya Smiley. So thank you guys. Oh, and Tiffany Robinson as well. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We hope something was said or done that enlightened you or you enjoyed. And we hope you'll join us back here again on next Friday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube Live. It's been a blast. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's your girl, your host with the most, your favorite chick to chit chat with. Meet us back here next Friday for another edition of Between Brothers and Sisters. We'll be still continuing to discuss the Black woman. And be sure to like and subscribe. Turn on the notifications to my YouTube channel, because during the week, I upload episodes of In My Feelings. This month's focus is we're dismantling inadequacy, fear, limitations, and I'll actually be posting a new episode of that on this weekend. You don't want to miss it. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Until next time, God bless you and good night. Keep it kingdom.